All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into mouse control, um, specifically in Blackfalds, Alberta.
Right.
We found some info on this company called Blackfalds Pest Control.
Hmm.
And looking through their website, it seems like they do a pretty good job of dealing with all sorts of creaky crawlies, all the things that people don't really like having around.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like they've got all the bases covered. Wasps, ants, spiders, the whole shebang.
Yeah, so, I mean, they deal with a lot. But for this deep dive, we're going to focus just on mice. And the thing that really stood out to me on their website was it says that they've got this bait, and it's a single feed solution.
Oh, interesting.
It's like just one and you're done, which, I don't know, sounds kind of too good to be true. So, for the average person out there thinking about going to the hardware store and getting some traps or some poison, what's the difference here? Why would I go with this company?
Well, you've hit on a really important point. There is a big difference between the stuff you can buy at the store and the stuff that professionals use.
Okay.
And the bait these professionals use is often formulated with different active ingredients and sometimes even higher concentrations of those active ingredients than what's available to, just the average person.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just like stronger though, right? There's got to be something else going on.
Yeah, it's not just about being stronger. It's more about being, smarter.
Oh, okay.
They really target the mice. So it's designed to be more effective and to work quickly.
So you get faster results.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And another big difference is safety. I mean, obviously, any kind of pest control product has to be used carefully, but those professional grade baits are usually designed with a lot more thought given to safety, especially for pets and kids.
Okay.
So they often use things like tamper-resistant bait stations,
Okay.
and they're really careful about where they place them.
Makes sense. So if you've got curious little ones or furry friends running around,
Yeah.
you don't want them getting into something they shouldn't. Right.
Right.
So we know this company is based in Blackfalds, but their website says they cover a pretty big area, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like they list Red Deer Junction, Blackfalds Lake, and even like surrounding acreage, even Lacombe Lake.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good chunk of central Alberta.
Yeah, that's a pretty good service area.
What are your options?
Well, it looks like they've got 3 main plans. They've got the single visit, which I guess would be for like a one-time thing if you think it's, just a minor issue.
Gotcha.
And then they have what they call protection plans. And there's 2 of those. There's a 6-month plan and then there's a 1-year plan.
So what makes a protection plan different?
Well, that's kind of where they go above and beyond. So with the protection plan, if you've still got mice, after that initial visit, they'll come back like up to once a month.
Oh, wow.
And they'll keep doing that for the whole length of the plan. So 6 months or a whole year.
So like an insurance policy.
Exactly. It's like you're covered no matter what.
Okay. So if you're someone who's just like, I just want this taken care of, I don't want to have to worry about it, that's probably the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. It gives you that peace of mind.
Okay. So now you've got these 3 options. How do you pick? Like, what are the pros and cons of each?
Well, the first thing to consider is, like, how bad is the problem? Like, is it just a couple of mice? Or do you feel like you're being overrun?
Okay, so like if I'm seeing a mouse every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus like I saw one in my garage 6 months ago.
Right, exactly. If it's just a couple of mice, then maybe a single visit is all you need.
Okay.
But if it's a bigger problem, or if you've already tried to get rid of them yourself and it hasn't worked, then you might want to think about one of those protection plans.
Yeah, so if you're constantly setting traps or finding droppings, it's probably a sign that you need something a bit more comprehensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and of course, we have to be realistic. Your budget is a factor.
Of course, yeah.
So those protection plans, they give you that peace of mind.
Right.
But they're going to cost you more up front.
Right.
So it's kind of a balancing act, I guess.
Yeah, it is. You have to weigh the cost of the plan against the cost of, potentially having to deal with those mice again and again.
Right.
And the damage they can do.
Exactly. And the frustration. Yeah, nobody wants that. Okay, so we've talked about the bait and how it's different from the stuff you buy at the store. We've talked about the service area and why it's important to make sure that they can actually come to your house. And we've even touched on the different plans that they offer.
Yeah. It's amazing how many things there are to consider when you're dealing with something like this.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So what about the DIYers out there?
Right.
Is there like ever a time when, maybe I should just try to deal with it myself?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
When would that make sense?
I mean, if it's, just like a one-off thing,
Okay.
maybe you saw a mouse in your garage like 6 months ago and that's it. You haven't seen anything since.
Okay. Yeah.
Then, maybe you can handle it yourself if you feel comfortable with that.
Right. But if I'm seeing mice every night.
Yeah, if you're seeing them all the time,
Mm,
or if you've, trying to get rid of them on your own and it's not working,
okay, yeah.
then it's probably time to call in the professionals.
Okay, that makes sense. It's funny because I was thinking about those protection plans.
Yeah.
And it seems like, for some people, that would be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, especially if you're someone who just wants the problem taken care of and you don't want to have to think about it.
Absolutely. It's all about that peace of mind. Like, they're going to take care of it, no matter what.
Right. But what about the person who's like on the fence? They're not sure if it's worth the money.
Right.
What would you say to them?
I would say, think about the bigger picture. Think about the long term.
Okay.
Because if you've got a recurring mouse problem, it can end up costing you a lot more than just that initial, that initial fee for the protection plan.
Right.
I mean, think about all the time you're going to spend setting traps and cleaning up droppings.
Right.
And then there's the damage that they can cause.
Oh, yeah. Chewing on wires and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can really add up.
Yeah. And not to mention the health risks.
Right, exactly. I mean, mice can carry diseases.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just annoying. It can actually be dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
So in a way, I mean, spending money on pest control is kind of like an investment in your health.
I think that's a great way to look at it. It's an investment in your home, in your health, and your peace of mind.
Okay, so it sounds like whether you go the DIY route or you call in the professionals, the important thing is to figure out what's right for you.
Yeah. And to understand the problem and, what your options are.
We've talked a lot about the practical side of things, but there's also like a mental and emotional side to dealing with pests, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it can be really stressful.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's your home.
Right.
It's supposed to be your safe space.
Right.
And when you've got, these unwanted guests running around, it can be really unsettling.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't be able to sleep if I knew there were mice in my walls.
Right. And that's another reason why professional pest control can be so valuable, because it's not just about getting rid of the mice.
Right.
It's about giving you back that feeling of control over your home.
Okay, so it's about reclaiming your space.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of times we underestimate how much these kinds of things can affect us.
Yeah, for sure.
So it sounds like it's not just about the physical problem. It's about, your mental well-being too.
Absolutely. And finding solutions that address both of those things.
This has been really interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot
Me too.
about all the different aspects of mouse control, from the types of bait to the psychological impact that it can have.
It's been great to dive into all of this with you.
And, for our listeners in Blackfalds and the surrounding area, I think this information could be really helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, now they're armed with all this knowledge and they can make better decisions about how to deal with any mouse problems they might have.
Absolutely. And even for listeners who aren't in that area, I think a lot of these principles still apply.
Yeah.
Because no matter where you live, you could end up having to deal with mice at some point.
Right. It's definitely not just a Blackfalds problem.
Exactly.
So whether you're thinking about DIY or you're thinking about calling a professional, it's all about making an informed decision.
Right. And knowing what to look for.
Okay, so it sounds like knowledge is power when it comes to pest control.
Absolutely. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
It's kind of funny, right? We started with this simple question: how do you get rid of mice?
Right.
But it turns out there's a lot more to it than you might think.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely more to it than meets the eye.
Like, for me, the big takeaway is that, it's not just about, like, the traps or the bait. It's about the expertise.
Right. Exactly. I mean, these pest control professionals, they know so much.
Yeah, they've seen it all.
Yeah. They know exactly where mice like to hide, how they behave, all that stuff.
And they have access to all these products and solutions that, we wouldn't even know about.
Exactly.
And, let's not forget about that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you've got someone who can take care of it for you, especially if it's a problem that keeps coming back.
Yeah, that's huge. You can finally just relax.
Yeah, you don't have to stress about it.
Huh.
So for everyone listening out there who might be dealing with a mouse problem right now, what's like the one thing you want them to remember?
I'd say, if you're really struggling with this, if you've tried everything and nothing seems to work, or Even if you just want that peace of mind, don't be afraid to call a professional.
Okay, yeah. Call the expert.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's an investment in your home and, in your sanity.
Right. It's not a sign of defeat or anything.
Double
It's
check,
just
yeah.
like being smart about it.
Exactly.
So for our listeners in Blackfalds and the surrounding areas, we found a company that seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah, they seem great.
And even if you're not in that area,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff we talked about today applies, no matter where you live.
Right. Because mice, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are. They're a universal problem.
Pretty much.
So whether you're going to DIY or you're going to call a pro, just do your research.
Right.
Make an informed decision.
Absolutely.
And that's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.